I'm Matthew Collings. I'm a composer based in Edinburgh.
I'm Jules Rawlinson and I'm a lecturer in digital media at Edinburgh College of Art.
Two years ago, when it wasn't long after the Snowden revelations came to light through The Guardian and other news media, and something that I was really interested in, engaged with, and disturbed by, as most people were, I think, who heard. Privacy and encryption and all these issues which have continued to be very relevant over the last 2 years, and are still so. And it's great that that's the fact, and somehow that we are still part of this conversation and encouraging people to be part of this conversation.
We seem to live in this age where people actually are quite upset that people are spying on them, but actually we're spying on ourselves, and we seem quite happy to give away data without really thinking about how that might be used. One of the things is that we're trying to portray in the piece is actually the scale with which these kinds of operations, this kind of surveillance is really happening. And so, and that it's not just on trying to show the global and the local scale of it is really, I think, the key thing that we're interested in doing. And actually showing people that it's okay to be angry about it, and if you are angry about it, then this kind of sense of what might you choose to do about it. For me, it's this choice about sharing, taking ownership back of what you're sharing on the internet.
It's a very kind of contemporary piece. It involves electronics and live musicians who will be sitting where we're sitting. And it's a blend of music and visuals in a very organic way as well. We're not playing to a fixed piece of media. Jules is on stage with the rest of us performing as a visual artist, as a visual. We're working in a visual medium which is completely interacting and reacting to the sound that's happening on stage. So I think people expect something unusual, something new, and hopefully something that's emotionally and intellectually engaging.
I'm 29 years old. But that's not my intention. I think, and you live a privileged life. You're living in Hawaii in paradise and making a ton of money. What would it take to make you leave everything? The greatest fear that I have regarding the outcome of these disclosures is that nothing will change.
Things that's interesting about Sound Festival is actually the scope of its activities as a festival, and that other festivals that I've performed at, people will be, yes, there's performances, but there's not the workshops, there's not the artist talks, these kinds of other things that are threaded through the festival itself. And so I would say that it's a shame if that side of things diminishes. Actually, the role of that kind of aspect of a festival diminishes into just a performance. Yes, it's nice to come and see a performance, but at the same time we do want to be able to engage at other levels. For me, it's interesting to actually come and see other people's work as much as it is about a great opportunity for us to come and perform our own work.
It's really important that people could come and see this sort of work and all the sort of work that's going on over the next few weeks, and come and see it outside of major cities as well, in Scotland, outside of the Central Belt, in the UK, outside of London, outside of Manchester, all these places. I think that's actually really important, because it's kind of condescending to think that people from outside those places cannot be interested or understand any of the sort of work We're hoping to work on another large-scale piece over the next 2 years, which we're hoping to do with a lot of the same people who we collaborate regularly with. We're hoping to do that on the subject of air crashes and air flight, because I think that, again, it's a really interesting subject and something that is very emotional as well.
I'd really like to make a horror movie, but actually a horror movie for performance. So I'd like to make essentially a silent horror film in the style of something like Nosferatu, that's performed live, including the visuals.